Welcome to A Better HR Business, the podcast that looks at how HR consultants and HR tech firms grow their businesses and how they help their employers to get the best out of their people. Remember, for show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Okay, let's get started.
Welcome back. Great to have you along. Thanks for joining me. Recently, I commissioned a website developer to help me with some sales pages for my products. So as you know, on getmorehrclients.com, we've got different products and things like that, and we use those as part of different sales processes. And I wanted to improve conversion. So, I turned to someone I've used many times in the past, Swen. Swen's in Malaysia, an amazing guy. I always love working with him. He's great at what he does. So he's got the website design, conversion expertise, and he makes the website look great and all that sort of stuff. And it improves the sales performance and all that sort of stuff. But he's also just a really nice guy. He's very well organized and professional and polite and all that sort of stuff, but just really nice to deal with. So that's a rare treat to work with someone like that. So I turned to him again, and he was just helping me with some of my product sales pages, as I mentioned. And they looked better and they improved the conversion rate. So in other words, the number of people who arrive on the sales page, the percentage of people who buy increased as a result of working with them. So that was a great result. And afterwards, I asked him, can I, get some feedback to share with listeners on the podcast on web design stuff? I don't think I've done anything on the show around website design, conversion, things like that. Talked a little bit about SEO and other stuff, but perhaps not so much the website bit. So I've asked him some questions, just some FAQ things, which I'll go through in a second. But just on the website, I do think it's really important to have a website. I do know businesses where they've got, six-figure businesses that do not have a website at all, as in, solo consultants. So, life can go on without one, but it certainly helps for many different reasons. You get found easier, you can add your details to different directories. LinkedIn, you can refer to it. So LinkedIn gives you a certain structure where you talk about your profile and your experience and stuff, but you do it how they tell you to do it. Whereas a website, it's your own thing. You can put in your character, your personality, your services, the pain points for clients. You can put resources, you can capture leads, i.e. get names and emails and contact numbers and stuff like that to build up a potential client list, all that sort of thing. You can run advertising a lot easier. So there's all sorts of things you can do. So I would typically say do it. And then the way you use it, as you probably guessed, I'm a big believer in trying to build up, your database, your mailing list, so you can continue to keep in touch with people, educate them, help them solve problems before they get to you. Because then they'll really appreciate that, you know your stuff, and yes, you could help our business. So that's important. And then having a website helps you with that dilemma of, do I run a generalist business or a specialized business? I love specialized businesses. That's no secret, but majority of HR-related businesses would be generalist businesses, and that's perfectly fine too. My advice to you in that situation, when I say a generalist business, it means you don't focus on any particular industry. You don't just look after the medical sector with your HR-related expertise. You can help manufacturing, education, healthcare, all these sort of different industries. But it just helps with a website to perhaps have a page dedicated to each industry. That means you appear for stuff in Google, for SEO purposes, and more appearing in things like ChatGPT and AI results. But it means when you meet someone at a networking event, they say, I'm in the healthcare sector and we have HR problems. You can say, well, I've got a page on that very topic. Do you want me to send it to you? That's a great networking thing to say, rather than, oh, wow, I do consulting. Would you like my business card? Not as convincing. Whereas if you can say, I've already got something that's tailor-made to your situation, then it's a much easier conversation. So that is one way of getting around the generalist versus specialist thing. You can have the best of both worlds if you use your website in that approach. And then you get into the advertising stuff. So just say you have a web page dedicated to a particular sector or a particular product or a particular pain point. You can then have advertising that only shows up if someone visits that page and ignores all the other pages on your website. So if you think about it, if you run a particular service or a program, some sort of intervention for corporations around employee attraction and retention, let's say, you might have a service page on your website that only talks about employee attraction and retention. You have other pages on your site that talk about HR compliance or remuneration and benefits, all these other things. But no, you've got a specific thing that you've got yourself a little target you want to sell, and you want to get X number of clients, or you want to generate X amount of revenue for this employee attraction and retention service that you've got. So you could start to promote that, LinkedIn, email, giving talks and stuff. And then you could run ads, whether that be through Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. You could run ads to this page, and then you could also have ads that follow people around, the remarketing ads that follow you around. And those ads say, we've got a really great employee attraction and retention service. And so people are only going to visit that page, employee attraction and retention, if they've got a particular concern relating to employee attraction and retention. And I know that's a bit of a roundabout sort of story or way of describing it, but if you think about it, the ad that follows them around is very, very specific to the service you've got, as opposed to the generic ads you might see. We do HR consulting, or we do remuneration and benefits consulting, general stuff, as opposed to your particular service that you offer. So just think about that, keep that in mind. The e-commerce companies do that beautifully, don't they? You go and look at a pink t-shirt and suddenly you see pink t-shirt ads everywhere. They're not showing you pictures of socks or shoes. They're showing you pink t-shirts because they know that's pretty close to what you're interested in right now. Anyway, back to Swen. I asked Swen some questions around redesign of landing pages and services pages. So question 1 was, why would a business consider redesigning a landing page or a services page? Is it just a vanity exercise, or are there other reasons at play? And his answer was, redesigning a landing page is far from a vanity exercise. It's about improving user experience, adapting to changes in the market, and driving better results. Over time, the needs of your target audience and the effectiveness of certain design trends can shift, so it's important to stay relevant. A redesign gives businesses the chance to fix issues like slow load times, confusing layouts, or outdated content. It's about making sure your page is doing its job, converting visitors into customers or leads. So there you go. Good answer. Question 2, what are the elements that make up a good landing page? Well, a good landing page is a balance of design, content, and functionality. Key elements include clear and compelling headlines that grab attention immediately, strong calls to action, or CTAs, to guide users to the next step. Do you want them to buy now, learn more, opt in, request a call, book a demo, book a meeting, that sort of thing. Clear call to action. Plus signals, so testimonials, client logos, that sort of thing to build credibility. A concise and engaging copy that speaks directly to the pain points of the audience and offers a solution. So it's not just about us and how good we are and aren't we just wonderful. It's about, well, what are the issues you have? What are your problems? What are the things you need fixed? Because we have solutions for those. And then lastly, mobile responsiveness to ensure the page looks good and works well on all devices. So mobile responsiveness means, does it work well on your mobile phone or iPad? That sort of thing. Next, how does a well-designed sales page directly affect business revenue? A well-designed sales page can dramatically boost business revenue by converting more visitors into paying customers. It guides visitors smoothly through the decision-making process, builds trust, and minimizes distractions that could lead to a drop-off. Every element of the page is optimized for action, whether that's filling out a form, making a purchase, or scheduling a call. Good design is not just about looking nice, it's about converting visitors into leads or customers. And that is a huge point. It's not about just looking nice. It's about converting visitors into leads or customers or clients. I've seen plenty of, quote, ugly pages that convert really, really well. Obviously, you want them to look nice at the same time as converting, but conversion's really important. All right, what's your process for collaborating with clients to bring their vision to life? So it's when the designer, what's your process for collaborating? Collaboration is key to a successful project. I start by getting to know the clients' businesses, their audience, their goals. We discuss their vision for the sales page, and I share insights on what works best in their industry. Throughout the design process, I maintain open communication, sharing drafts, and getting feedback to ensure the design aligns with their brand. I can concur with that. He says, I also focus on educating clients on why certain design choices will improve conversions, so the final product is a true reflection of their needs, combined with conversion-optimized design elements. Question, what are the common mistakes businesses make when designing their sales pages? One of the most common mistakes is overloading the page with too much information, and I'm guilty of that one. While it's important to provide enough detail to convince a visitor, bombarding them with unnecessary content can overwhelm and confuse them. Another common issue is having too many distractions on the page, elements that don't contribute to the conversion goal, such as excessive navigation, which can lead users away from the main CTA, the main call to action. Lastly, ignoring mobile responsiveness is a big mistake. With so many users browsing on mobile, a sales page that doesn't work well on smaller screens can result in lost opportunities. So if you're looking at your website and you're trying to make changes to it, do check what it looks like on a mobile. And I use Chrome browsers, the 3 little dots on the edge of Chrome browser. You scroll down to more tools, and then at the bottom, developer tools. In there, you'll find an option to change the screen to the different sizes of phones. So maybe you didn't know that, but you could see what your website looks like on an iPhone, on an Android, etc. That is one of the common mistakes, is forgetting mobile responsiveness. And the bit that he said earlier was about having too many distractions on the page. If you're doing something where you're selling or really trying to get a conversion, like getting someone to sign up, book a demo, book a meeting, ideally you would take away some of the menu options up the top or the bottom or the side. You want a very simple page, so it's just all focused on what's the job of that page. All right, next question. What's the biggest difference between DIY design, do it yourself, and working with a professional designer like you? DIY design tools are great for getting something basic up and running, but they often lack the strategic focus required to optimize for conversions. A professional designer brings a deep understanding of both design and marketing. I focus on creating sales pages that are not only visually appealing, but are also highly effective at converting visitors into customers. I also keep up with trends, user behavior insights, and technical aspects that can take a sales page from good to great. Working with a professional ensures that your page is tailored to your audience, brand, and business goals. And additionally, working with me, Sven, can save you valuable time. Instead of spending hours trying to learn design from scratch, you can leave it to me while you continue to focus on growing your business. I handle everything from design to optimization, so you get a high-performing page without the hassle. So I agree with all that. And last question, why should businesses consider redesigning their landing pages or sales funnels regularly? Business environments are constantly changing, and what worked last year may not work today. Redesigning landing pages or sales funnels helps keep your business fresh and aligned with new trends, customer behaviors, and industry standards. It's also a great opportunity to implement new strategies that can improve performance, such as optimizing for mobile users or integrating the latest conversion techniques. A regular refresh ensures that your pages continue to deliver results and keep you ahead of the competition. Interesting side note on this one is that because I've worked with businesses around the world or in the HR sort of space, I can often tell where a business is based just by looking at their website. So there's certain countries, locations and stuff where it's super modern and other ones are kind of still stuck in the 80s. It's funny. And so it is worth just looking around and getting a different perspective and see what other businesses do, or ask someone like Sven to have a look and see how they can refresh it. And you're not refreshing it just to feel better about yourself. It's how do I improve conversion? So if I'm getting visitors to my website, how do I get more meetings booked? Or how do I make more sales, generate more revenue? That's why you do it, not just to make it look nice and pretty. It's to improve the business. So well worth thinking about. I'm going to add Sven's details in the show notes. Otherwise, you can reach out to me if you want testimony, but I think you get the idea that I think he's great. But these are things to think about in terms of your website, trying to get the look right, the conversion right, and then using that as a tool to generate more business. Hope that helps. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us today on A Better HR Business, the podcast that explores the world of HR consulting and HR tech businesses. For show notes and downloads, go to www.getmorehrclients.com/podcast. That's getmorehrclients.com/podcast. Remember to subscribe and share the show with any friends who are busy growing a HR business. Thanks, and see you next time.